Welcome. It is the Ski Bum Podcast. Episode number 325 is your pals Mario and Brian. Whew, it's been a hot minute. Mario, what's up?
Just barely making it to the holidays. I feel like it's been a last mile sprint, and it's good to be there. We got a lot going on. I mean, I'm pretty tired lately with work and life, but kind of getting ready to close out the year in a good way, get some skiing in maybe, and I don't know, see what Santa brings.
I almost feel like this ski season in the East Coast is a perfect metaphor for how the podcast has gone this season so far. It's been a tough one. Like, we had a good little run, then things got a little bit rough. Like, my family's been sick since we were in Boston. I was sick. Wife was sick.
Got the
kids
Boston
were sick.
flu, I'm calling it.
I don't know. It's been rough. But again, we're getting, like you said, we're getting to Christmas. We're getting to this point. Everything's looking up. We're going to stay positive. We actually had a great interview with our pal Sam Weintraub from Peak Rankings, and we talked to him recently. We're going to have, for the main topic, our interview with him. We're actually going to break it into 2 episodes because it was a long interview. We chatted about a lot of really good stuff. So we're gonna break it into 2. So this is gonna be the first half, and then next week, which when most people are taking off, not doing anything because it's the week between Christmas and New Year's, we are going to be back on, and we'll give you guys the second half of that. So something to look forward to. It's our little gift to you.
We have to suffer so you guys have something to listen to on your road trips and your ski trips and your family time and I want to get away from family time and hang out in the car and listen to a podcast rather than deal with everybody at dinner. Perfect time.
We're here for you. We're here for you. Bring it in. Hey, how about a hug?
How about a hug?
How about a hug?
Hug in your ears.
That's
everywhere you are.
The weekly audio ski trip. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We do appreciate it. Check us out, skibumpodcast.com. We're on the socials, X, Instagram, Facebook, Untapped, YouTube, at Ski Bum Podcast, Patreon. If you want to help the show out, you want to be part of it, hook us up. Help us out. Be part of it. Patreon.com/Ski Bum Podcast. Check it out there. We have all the different tiers if you want to join. We got a shop. It's too late for Christmas. Probably too late for Kwanzaa. I think we missed Hanukkah.
I don't even know when anything is.
Ski season, no.
Ski season. Everybody knows that.
Peak après season. We still got your back for that. Skibumpodcast.com/shop. We got some good swag in there. Check that out. We've been talking about this for months. Our pals over at 10,000, they are making some of the best workout gear, workout clothes for men. 10,000.cc. Their whole motto is better than yesterday. Their heart of 10,000 is the idea of pursuit in business, fitness, life, and skiing. They believe in moving forward with a quiet dedication to constant improvement and to becoming just a bit better than we were yesterday. If you go to their website, 10,000.cc, use the code BSchneider15, BSCHNEIDER15. 15% off. They got all kinds of other sales going on. Check them out. You're probably going to try to ski your legs into ski shape again this year, aren't you?
We all do.
You could have been working out, could have had some interval shorts, could have been getting after it, doing some HIIT classes, doing some workouts. It's okay. You can still do a little bit of stretching, maybe do some squat thrusts, get ready, do what you got to do. 10,000 is there to help. So check them out. We appreciate it. Mario, let's kick this off the way we always do.
It's time for Après Today.
So I actually made a good effort while out holiday shopping for alcohol, of course, because that's the gift that keeps giving. Work gifts, grab bag gifts, white elephant gifts. You bring a bottle of any alcohol, that's a home run. Everybody loves it because it can't go wrong. If you don't drink, you give it to somebody who does. Merry Christmas. You do drink, Merry Christmas. You drink it at home. Somebody gets it, they don't like you. Yeah, or in the car. Somebody doesn't like you. Thank you. Merry Christmas. They give it away. You know, it's perfect. So As I was doing that, I stocked up on one of those, get some craft beers because I went to Total Wine down here, which is they get a nice one down here too, and
It's a
they
favorite.
have the cans, the single cans of craft beer. So I decided to get some good stuff, and I found one that we know and love. This was perfect for me to run into it. I am drinking a Heat Wave by Magnify Brewing
Wow,
Company
they had magnified down there in Florida, huh?
in Cigar City country. I mean, that's like bringing
Pretty
Confederate money down
cool.
here.
Dude,
Yankee
magnifies.
beer come down south.
Yeah, Magnify's blowing up. Total Wine's got tremendous distribution.
Boom.
We got one down by us down here. Place is crazy. We drove past it
Got my
on.
Tabasco mug with like half foam because I can't pour a beer for shit. Just
Oh
saying.
boy. We drove past Total Wine the day before Thanksgiving, and I've never seen lines onto the highway like that ever before. It was crazy. I'm like, someone's definitely gonna die. Or
So
people are probably hammered going there, and
Oh,
people are
yeah.
hammered leaving. So this is not going to be good.
So this is the Heat Wave. So I found out a trick about Total Wine. I like to pound miles for United because I always fly United generally because of deals I get and stuff like that. So I found out through the United website you could buy through Total Wine online, pick up in store, and get United miles for it.
Look at that.
Easy miles right there. I'm gonna drink it, so why not, right?
That's like almost unfair.
Yeah, there's 1 mile per dollar that you spend. I'm like, I'm spending it anyway, and I just buy it online. I don't have to go shop around. I just pick this shit up. Like, so I shopped online. They had a whole bunch of stuff, like bottles that were like buy two and you get 20% off and shit like that. Like, because I guess they do these deals with if it's a direct ship from the producer, they'll offer these deals. So I was like, I'm learning all the tricks of it. So I'm like, I'm going to work these miles and these deals. So I'm losing money if I don't buy there.
Hey, this is what this podcast does. We offer you guys tons of great information. That's a huge tip. If you can get people a couple of free miles for, just for
a lot of free
something
miles
they're going to buy anyway, it's a no-brainer.
Think about it. I bought a ton of Christmas gifts at work because everybody's an alcoholic. Family and our dog's getting into the action.
He's partying. He's boozing it up too.
He's like, yes, I was boozing. I got my little stash as well. He's being such a little asshole. They're yelling at him. Of course, he's like, I don't care. Ruff, ruff.
It's Christmas. What are you gonna do?
It's Christmas. Try catch me. So this is a Heat Wave. This is an IPA, American IPA, 6.1 ABV, and it's hopped with Simcoe, Cacao, White ET, and Sabro hops. So they're really getting a little fancy with their hops. But oh, this drinks really well. This is a good beer. It doesn't have a lot of fruit, but has like a little citrusy hint. Good crisp hops flavor, just kind of I've never heard of the Coatu and YET or Sabro hops. So I don't know if they're what they're usually used in, but it's pretty good taste in IPA. I gotta say it's more like I don't really know what it's like. It's very unique, but it's not bad. Not bad at all. It's actually really good. It's hazy. It's got that nice haze. Got a nice juicy taste to it.
Very nice.
Juicy. That's how I describe it. A juicy, hoppy beer, but it's not like too hoppy. You know how you get some that are just kind of over hoppy that kind of, I call them stomach crushers where they kind of, you just hopped your stomach and you can't drink anything anymore. Yeah. This has a nice balance where it's the flavor of hops, but not like that heaviness.
Okay.
So for 6.1, it drinks light. It's light on the palate. It's gonna knock you on your ass at some point if you keep pounding them. But it's I gotta say, I'm impressed. I love Magnify. They make some good beers.
Yeah, they make some really good stuff.
And
That's
they had a
pretty
few
cool.
other magnifies at the Total Wine by me, so I'm gonna stock up eventually. They're our buddies. That was our first real interview.
That was, yeah.
So if you
Eric
go
over at
into
Magnify.
you go into the archives. I gotta say it was what, episode
20?
15, 20, something like that.
Yeah.
And we interviewed Eric from Magnify, Eric Ruta. Hung out at Magnify, met up with him at a few events. I remember running into him in Atlantic City, the beer festival they have up there. So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
just yeah, kind of cool stuff. So it's good to see they're still keeping it real and they're working their ass off, man.
Yeah, they're crushing it.
How about you,
Very good
Brian?
stuff.
What you
Very good stuff. So what did I do? So it's that time of year.
got? Podcast number 16, by the way. I just looked it up.
Podcast 16.
16, 1-6. Look in the archives. It's there. This is pre-20s. We just barely broke double digits.
The Wayback Machine. So for my après today, it's that time of year. And that time of year, there's only one drink. When I think of the ultimate après, I'm thinking Europe. I'm thinking Switzerland. I'm thinking a nice, warm drink side of the mountain.
Oh.
Yes, sir. You know it, and I know it. You kind of see in there?
Glühwein.
I've got the Glühwein.
Oh, that's good stuff. And that's not any store-bought, sticky, syrupy crap. This is homemade, fresh stuff, right?
True, but if you do want to go to True or Total Wine, they do have Glühwein there. I did see it. I don't know if it's any good. I just know it was at the front when you check out last time I was there, which was right around Thanksgiving-ish. And made a picture of it. I took a picture of it to show the wife, because I'm like, hey, look, because whenever anything Glühwein related is around, I get excited. Here we go. Winterlandschaft.
Winterlandschaft.
Winery Direct. $10.
Wow.
And it's kind of like not focusing very well. But it's from Germany.
Nice.
Type of mulled wine, which is still produced according to old world tradition. Delicious combination of red wine that is sweetened and spiced with cloves, cinnamon, orange, and lemon peel. Glühwein is ready to drink. Heat, do not boil, to enjoy. Great on any cold day.
So I got to say, when I was in Switzerland skiing, they didn't have Glühwein at every place, but they always had hot wine. So they just take regular wine, don't even put all the stuff in it, just heat it up nice, drink it when you're outside. It's magical.
It's lazy.
Magical. If you're walking around looking at Christmas lights this holiday and it's cold out, go travel with a roadie. Have a nice hot Glühwein or a nice hot wine with you. That's what I recommend.
It makes a big difference. It really it turns up the festivity to 11.
Oh yeah.
No denying that.
You could stand everybody at that point.
You really can. It brings people together. Yeah, I tried buying eggnog.
You just made that?
Andrea made it like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. So you didn't even have to make it. She made it for you?
She made it, yeah. Well, she did that. So we did like a
even more magical
Christmas, like, family gifts. We give stuff to their families. They give stuff to us. And one of the gifts she gave people was like, she bought those like stop tops, like the wine bottles, topper on there. She bought those and wrote like Glühwein on there and gave them to people. So
I did the Jaeger tea that one year. That was like,
yes,
people get it and like, oh my god, this is like rocket fuel. This is awesome. Thanks.
Man, I'm a fan. Yeah, so we got one bottle left, so we're probably gonna have to make more for Christmas, since everyone's got goddamn COVID in my house and my mom's got COVID, so we're supposed to go there for Christmas Eve, and we're not going to do that. So we got to
Doesn't that cure COVID?
Change. We can't say for sure because we are not the science, but I have heard people say that this will kill COVID.
Is that, see? COVID cannot last in a Glühwein rich environment.
Not with mulled wine and brandy. It's got no chance.
No chance.
Now that's it. So I've actually made my own Stollens this year for the first time ever.
You did?
I actually made them.
Wow.
Made my own marzipan, made my own Stollens, made my
How
own
was it
sourdough
doing it?
mixer. It really, it's time consuming. It's because it's like one of those things where you gotta make the yeast dough and let it sit overnight, and you gotta
Yeah.
go and mix everything together and let it sit for an hour and a half. And you gotta mix it again and let it rise for 2 hours. So it's
Are
a
you
lot
using
of
regular yeast or are you using the instant?
instant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now I'm making
Grimy.
2 more loaves that are actually sourdough Stollens. I'm gonna probably start those tomorrow. But I made the marzipan, and you know what I did today? What I did, because I'm a fucking savage. I made a marzipan latte.
Look at you.
I mean,
Marzipan latte.
think about it. You know, amaretto's great in coffee.
Chuck
What's
it
so
in there.
different about marzipan's got powdered sugar in it. It's got orange blossoms, it's got egg whites. I just
It's all good.
blended it right into my coffee, and I was like, God damn it, I'm a genius. This is delicious.
Next, it's Starbucks. If it's
That-
really good, right? Boom.
That said, I cannot do this very often because there's so much freaking sugar in there that I'm gonna get goddamn
Yeah.
diabetes, lose a foot.
Diabetes.
So,
That's right.
gotta dial that back. But yeah, I'm making my own stuff. And one of the things that I did too, so this is another awesome thing. So the recipe called for dried fruit. You use dried cherries and dried raisins. Raisins are ghetto to me. I just use cherries. Got the dried cherries, and you got to soak them. It says apple cider. I chose brandy, which is way
Nice.
tastier. Now you soak them overnight, and then you drain them. The brandy that was infused with the cherry
gotta be
from the
good.
dried cherries, so good. Because I used the Asbach.
Nice.
I used a good brandy, and then I
Yeah.
just drained them, and then I have the cherry flavored Asbach. Dude, it's so good. It's so
Nice.
good.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm a smart man. Look at this. The freaking marzipan latte, the cherry from the brandy. Like, I'm crushing it. If I
Man,
wanted to
and
go
a fresh
full on,
stolen.
and a fresh motherfucking Stollen. If I wanted to go full fat fuck, like, I have all the tools at my disposal right now.
You don't have to go anywhere. Just make that shit at home.
Just see me next podcast is like Brian's like 8 chins and like neck out to here.
He doesn't leave the house anymore. He orders his baking ingredients online. They deliver them.
This stuff is, dude, marzipan is too easy to make. It's 5
Yeah.
ingredients, food processor, 5 minutes, it's done.
Boom. Yeah, I made my first loaves today of sourdough bread. Came
Nice.
out pretty good.
Did it?
I'm becoming
Nice.
quite the bread maker.
Look
So-
at you. Look at us. We should just change our podcast to be like the fat former skiers.
We can
The
have a
après-
bakery on the mountain.
We should just talk about just have an après. Like that'll be our thing. Just the après podcast.
How about an après place on a ski mountain with all fresh baked goods and crazy awesome drinks? That would be good. All upscale. None of this ghetto shit. None of this,
No. High
none of this
end.
beer out of a tap.
Velvet rope.
Velvet
Like,
rope.
We only have things out of a cask. It's got to be
That's
tiny.
right.
It's like 4 drinks and that's it. We're done.
That's it. That's what we do.
Yeah. And like when do you open? Probably from like 3 to 3:15 because it's all gonna be sold out.
That's
done.
right.
We're out of here.
We open till we sell out, and we sell out. Everybody, you don't have to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here. That's
We
it.
only take cash and Bitcoin, and
That's right.
we'll probably be closed by 3:30.
Yeah, we'll just.
Best goddamn
sold
food
out.
you ever had, though.
That's right. If you're one of the first, 200 people in the tent or the place that we have, whatever we have, get
We got a yurt.
Yurt.
We got a yurt.
Yurt. It has to be a
This
yurt.
looks like a tent. This is a yurt.
It's a yurt. It's- Good day, sir. We'll be like the soup Nazi. We'll be like the
Yeah.
bakery après Nazi. No après for you. Get out.
This
You're
tent
banned 1 year.
identifies as a yurt.
That's right. Start kicking people out. Get to stepping. Ski away, son. Just ski away.
Just ski.
Just
Just
ski
ski.
away. But I'm gonna snowboard. Just board away then.
Yeah.
I still see you here.
Well, speaking of just skiing and boarding,
Let's go to ski news.
and first 2 stories are kind of rough. Now, for those in the Northeast, I'm sure you're well aware, we just got absolutely pounded with rain Sunday, Monday this week. And there was before then they were starting to get some pretty decent snow on the ground. They were blowing a lot of snow. Things were getting in good shape. People were looking at Christmas week. They're like, all right, we're gonna be ready. It's gonna be a good time. No, not anymore.
Not good.
So New Hampshire recovering after warm, rainy start to the season. New Hampshire ski mountains were inundated with rain Monday, washing away snow and forcing shutdowns. Waterville Valley, which we skied at earlier this year, reported approximately 5 inches of rain in a 24-hour period,
Wow.
prompting the mountain to suspend alpine skiing on Tuesday and Wednesday. The resort said its base lodge, lift terminals, and other buildings were impacted by the storm and will require quote unquote deep cleaning before reopening. We're aiming to provide the best quality snow surfaces as we head into the holiday period following the weather events. We thank everyone for their patience during this time. Wildcat also remain closed Wednesday while they restore our snow surfaces and facilities. Loon Mountain closed Tuesday to allow employees and other residents to recover. But it reopens Wednesday, which is when we're recording this. Also up at Sunday River in Maine, they're remaining closed due to the damage caused by severe flash flooding.
They had some bad flash flooding up there in those parts, right? I saw it on TV and it was like, what did a dam just break? They're like, no, it's flash flooding. I'm like, holy crap. It was a lot.
They're showing the river up by Mount Washington too in New Hampshire. It looked terrifying. That's the only word I could use. Terrifying.
I didn't realize it was that much rain that fell at one time. It's crazy.
It just kept coming down. Yeah. Wow. So Sunday River, they're going to be closed through today, which is the 20th, the Wednesday, due to flash flooding. There were gusts up to 132 miles an hour.
Man.
Crazy. So severe weather forced closure to many ski resorts. Since Monday, the resorts that did manage to open on Monday shut down early due to high winds. Parts of the Northeast are experiencing intense flooding, having received over 6 inches of rain in 24 hours, leading to power outages throughout the region. According to poweroutage.us, 400,000 customers were without power in Maine and around 250,000 in Massachusetts. Gregg Falls Dam and Kelly's Fall Dam are currently releasing water to reduce water levels caused by excessive rainfall. Flood warnings remain in effect for many areas across New England areas until Tuesday, which is past, luckily. As the rain begins to dissipate, the aftermath of the storm's damage will become visible across the region. Yeah, there's tons of videos of trees down, flooding. It was bad. And I mean, not that it came out of nowhere, but it didn't look. I mean, it looked like it was going to be a storm that rolled through, but then it kind of formed into a nor'easter, and everything kind of consolidated. It looked like the rainfall and just the band that whipped through just unloaded, and it was rain for most of the Northeast. Like I think Jay still got snow, but most places. I remember looking at the weather. I think it was like low 40s or low 50s, high 40s, all the way up to Maine.
Man.
Which it's just like
it's cleared everything out.
Really? You're like, goddamn, really? Like it was just such a perfect shitstorm across the whole Northeast. And timing was bad, and just a lot of destruction.
Usually there's a big January thaw that like the January thaw usually is something like that where you get a big rainstorm. So maybe it hit early and then we're in for really good ski weather the rest of the way. Maybe that'll happen, right?
And all the snowmaking ponds very full. So you know all you can really do in a situation like this is just stay positive. That's really all you can do.
Lemons into lemonade.
Yeah.
Lemons into lemonades. That's what
but again,
lemonades.
At the end of the story, or end of the day with the story like this, you're really just, it sucks that you're like, oh, I wanted to go skiing, I can't go now. You really got to think about all the folks who this affected, and that's obviously that's way more important. The people who make all of this possible, the families, like that's what matters. So we'll get to skiing when we get to skiing, but let's make sure families up there taking care of their families, taking care of the people who make these resorts thrive. Let's watch out for
Hope
them
it all
first. And then,
bounces back. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. And then we'll
rebound.
get back to having fun. Yes.
Yeah. All right, next up in ski news, we have the nation's largest ski resort is going semi-private. So
I think we've talked about Powder Mountain more than any other mountain in the last 3 months.
Yeah, for some reason it keeps coming up. And while I was there for a brief day, I think it was a day. I don't remember. It was all a blur. I was hammered. No, I'm joking. It was a while ago. It was definitely, I think we just did one day. Yeah.
2 years, yeah.
2 years ago. It was a great trip. Really nice. And it was before all the ridiculousness happened with all the announcements and the sale and everything. So they're going private and public. They have a semi-private model. And it's pretty unique what they're doing. So I guess they're doing some lifts will be public, and then they're going to have some private only lifts that include Village Marys and a yet to be lift on Raintree. So they're going to say everything else will remain public access to pass holders and day ticket skiers. So the private only is going to be if you have a place on the mountain. I'm like, that's pretty badass. I love that.
So what you're saying is we got to buy something up there ASAP.
Yes. And that's the place where, if you haven't heard it before, I was in the owner's yurt. And I was talking to the people there on the trip that we were, it was a media trip. And they were like, yeah, no, if you rent your place out, they're not owners. They don't have access to this yurt. And this yurt was baller. It was like,
how did you get in then?
I felt like a sultan. Media, baby. I got to check this shit out to talk about it. They know our podcast. They were like, yeah, High Flute and Ski Bum. It was,
we know you guys are going to be owners soon. So, we're pre-owners.
Pre-owners. We were with one of our buddies that we met up at Ski Utah, JP. And JP, and he did some sweet talking and got us into the owner's yurt. I was like, cool. Had a nice little lunch there and sat down like gentlemen. It was pretty good. But anyway, they're so this is kind of a weird thing. So they're going to be doing public and private lifts and areas to go. So we'll see how this works out. I imagine this was the natural evolution of people when they have money and they start going skiing. You want to have a private area and your public area. You want to have the velvet rope area, the velvet rope drop versus the regular ghetto rope drop, right? Like,
well, it's funny because think about it. Like, you could be the Yellowstone Club, you could be rich, you can be doing your thing, but in this model, it's almost as if you want people to see you. It's like, oh, I see you're over there on the commoners line for the lift.
I'm over here. You're over there.
I will be going over here with the fancy people to go ski on this lift.
Look, there's no lift lines for me at all.
Toodaloo. Yeah. It's crazy how it's almost like a lift to lift basis that it's going to be public versus private. I wonder if it's
going to be some sort of like
happening. Checkpoint. Is it going to be like a TSA? Is it going to be like a goon squad who's like roughing people up who are trying to?
There better be a goon squad.
Yeah, right.
You don't have a bouncer. There's no rules to VIP versus not. Then people just start walking in.
Ski bouncers union.
That's right.
I like
people
that.
On like ninjas riding on snowmobiles and crazy ass foil skis chasing you down and beating you up.
They just got like the winter camo on. They're just like hiding in the snow. Like you don't even know they're there. They just pop out. They're like, whoa, and just taking people down.
And then you get the goon hand. That's once you get, manhandled and you get the goon hand. That's it.
I think it's going to be almost like Apocalypse Snow. People just going after you.
Just going after you. I'm trying to run from them all day. So the letter of the announcement was issued by Powder Mountain CEO Reed Hastings. So he's the investor and executive chairman of Netflix streaming service, and he was the one that just bought Powder. Well, I guess one of the major shareholders.
I think he's got the 51% ownership at this point.
See, that's nice. I'll let all you guys vote, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Like you're done listening to them. Like your votes don't count. Shut up. This is what we're doing.
Like, hey, yada yada yada. This is the plan.
Here's the point. So yeah, so in part of the statement said, including homeowners only private skiing in the resort's portfolio is part of the plan to sell more real estate. So Hastings explained that the resort has been struggling financially, but by including private lift access as part of the deal, Powder Mountain hopes to increase on-mountain real estate sales and prices, which is unsaid, thus improving its finances without selling to a conglomerate or joining a mega pass program. Two moves that could increase crowding. So they want to increase revenue without increasing the crowding. And he threw a nice little jab at the big passes, saying, we didn't want to sell out and be part of a mega pass program to make our money. So very interesting. I gotta say, Powder Mountain is one of those unassuming places where you go, you're like, all right, this seems like kind of a local mountain feel, like local mountain. And then you get out there and you start skiing, you're like, it's pretty damn nice. There's a lot of space here.
Yeah, it looks like the cheapest thing available right now is a little piece of land for $3.99 in Eden on the mountain.
Damn.
Yeah.
Eden. Yeah, Eden's the nearest town. I ate a Tex-Mex place that was good there.
There you go.
Eden.
Exclusive.
See, something about being a place called Eden. Where are you going? I'm going to Eden. There's a nice garden there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, here we go. This is it. Exclusive gated community at Powder Mountain Ski Resort. Ski in, ski out. Large estate building lot zoned for nightly rentals.
Look at that.
Interesting.
You know, it's waiting for an Olive Garden of Eden. Yeah. I'll be here all night.
I mean, yeah, that's comedy gold right there. Comedy
Olive
gold.
Garden of Eden. Come on, who's not going?
Olive Garden. Come on. I like
Give it to me.
Well, if you're not into that, perhaps you are into the world's most unbelievable ski race.
Ooh.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this. Have you heard of this at all? The Inferno?
No.
Inferno? Now, I will preface this.
Disco Inferno?
Disco Inferno, yes. If you go to YouTube and just type in Return of the Turn. We've talked about this a couple times. This is Marcus Caston's like little mini video series.
Yeah.
And he has an episode where he goes to Mürren, Switzerland. And they do this. It's the world's largest and longest amateur ski race. It's called the Inferno. Top to bottom, there's thousands of competitors, little safety netting.
Damn.
It's unreal. Like, it is such a cool video because he competes in it. And, he kind of, it goes through the process. They talk about, like, he treats it like it's a real race, and he's, kind of going, balls out on it. But this article here in Ski Mag was, why would anyone compete in the world's most unbelievable ski race? So it talks about how it combines hard partying with a very serious downhill challenge. And also there's spots that are pretty freaking terrifying. You talk with Alan Ramsey, who's head of marketing at the Schilthorn Ski Resort and a veteran racer. Leans back in his chair at the end of the restaurant booth. I don't think anyone who leaves the start gate isn't nervous about what's ahead. It's like, it's pushing your limits. How much guts do you have? And, he delivers the race with a prep talk with a smile. Night before the 79th race. The author's a first-time racer in this. So this is January 2023. So this is earlier this year. Talk about the town. It's only accessible by train. And it's a cable car as well. So It sounds a lot like what you'd have, something like a Zermatt. Most of the participants are British skiers and Asian tourists. Few wide-eyed Americans. Slopes are overrun with skiers in padded lycra suits and team jackets. And they kind of go through it a little bit more. And they talk about how the first winner, Harold Mitchell, completed the descent in 1 hour and 12 minutes.
Whoa.
Well, this is back in the day, like 79 years ago.
Yeah.
Today, good skiers can do the 14.9 kilometer race in about 20 minutes. The
Damn.
winner typically requires 15 at most.
Whew.
Yeah.
Damn.
And this year they actually had to shorten it by 7.6 kilometers because of the light snowpack.
That's pretty fun.
And what's also crazy is they have, I guess the night before, they have like a weird like effigy. Like they have
It's like a Burning
this,
Man.
it's like Burning Man. Yeah, they have like this weird devil dressed in jeans and sneakers, and they burned it at the stake to ward off bad luck.
In jeans and sneakers. That's awesome.
Yeah, they have this whole crazy thing. So if you really want to know what it's like, again, find Return of the Turn and go to the Inferno episode, because you have Marcus going over there with a couple of, with his crew. And interestingly enough, they have the American version, which is at Tuckerman's, that they do afterwards. That's episode 15.
Nice.
They're both great. They're both great, but the Inferno one, the one in Switzerland, is really
it
cool
says
because
Inferno Mirren.
Yeah, you see him getting ready. You see it, and he's got a GoPro the whole time, so you actually can watch him do the race. And he does pretty well. He does pretty well. He doesn't win, obviously, but he does really well. And it's you watch it and you're like, what's crazy because they stagger the start. So I think it's like every 30 seconds or every minute they send someone else
people
down.
don't catch up on each other. Yeah.
And there's hundreds, maybe 1,000 people who are doing this race. So you see him going, and there's people who are like in the way. And think about some tight ski trails you've been on where you maybe have like two people. There's little uphill parts you have to go up. I mean, there's parts where it's like 2 skiers wide, and he's like zooming around people. It's pretty cool.
Some elbows.
You gotta throw some elbows. If someone's got to go off a cliff, hey man, it's kill or be killed.
Should have gotten out of the fucking way. That's what I'm saying.
Should have gotten out of the way. I would definitely check it out. It's only like 15 or 20 minutes to watch, and absolutely worth it. It's really cool. 14 minutes and 4 seconds. You got that. You got time to watch this.
You got time. I got that queued up.
You can watch it on the toilet. 14 minutes.
There you go. If that's what you do on the toilet. Everybody watches TV on the toilet. Hey, now.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
Well, speaking of skiing and ski equipment, what would be cool is if you can do this, you can do the Inferno, and you could be skiing with some new innovative ski poles. So there's an ex-Apple engineer who built some innovative ski poles that are sure to cause envy. So Snowbrains had this, and Brian, you found this. If you got more details, you want to take this story. I think you
saw
know
this
a little bit more about this.
I'm a sucker for ski poles. I mean, aren't we all? Any skier a sucker for ski poles? You always want to buy a new pair of gear because gear is freaking awesome.
Got to get new gear. Always.
I'm not gonna lie. I skied on. Stolen is an ugly word. Rented for a long time. Ski poles.
You did return them. I was with you when you did return them after like a year. So
allegedly, yes.
It was a long-term rental.
It was a long-term rental. But after that, I've changed my ways, obviously. And now, with ski poles, it's weird. So many of these companies just crank out the same thing over and over again. When you find something different, unique, there's that company Grass Sticks, our boy Mike, who's recovering now from his ACL injury. We talked to him a few months ago. He showed me his Grass Sticks when we were up at Waterville Valley, and they are such cool bamboo ski poles. If you haven't checked those out, you can customize the grips, the basket, the colors, the shapes. Really, really cool. This is like the next level. There's not as much customization, but you can tell these are really nice poles. So the company's yard sale, they just launched earlier this year with the aim to address the gear's 2 biggest problems: how ski poles clatter around and cross over when they're being carried, and how difficult it can be to get your gloves through the straps.
I've faced that many times.
To overcome these difficulties, co-founder Kelly McGee used his previous experience as a product design engineer at Apple to focus on some distinct features, including magnetic handles and baskets, open loop straps, and a built-in GoPro mount.
Nice.
Yes. So they've created a proprietary system with magnets in the handles and baskets so the poles can easily click together. Cramming enough small magnets into the thin profile of a ski pole was a challenge, but the company used high-frequency welding and metal injection molding that embeds 16 magnets into the handles of the ski poles, making them easy to snap together for manageable movement.
Wow.
Means no more dropping your poles in the parking lot, getting them mixed up with someone else's in the car. If you need to answer a phone call, you can easily free up a hand. You just magnetize them together, boom, hand free.
There you go. That's pretty nice.
I like that.
Now they have a GoPro mount, but I got to say, I invented this a long time before they had it. Now I took just a mount and I screwed it into the top of my ski pole. Boom. I had a GoPro mount too. Look at that.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying.
I ain't lying. I still got them. I got them on my Leakies.
That still works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got them on my Leakies. The one with the clip-in, whatever they call them, but the clip-in pieces that mount on your gloves, so I don't have to keep putting the gloves in and out.
It has the harness thing on there.
Yeah.
So you've got a couple different color options you can choose from. Modular system, you can choose between eye-catching monochrome poles or pick different colors for your handles, basket, straps, and poles. If you want to get weird, you can even make your right pole totally different from your left pole. These are pretty cool. These are definitely worth checking out. The thing is, you can't get them before Christmas now, obviously. And they're sold out of a couple different sizes. But
wow,
it's kind of nice.
Moving some product. I like it.
It's nice to see people thinking a little bit differently.
Well, and if they need sponsorship, if they want to get their word out there, they could sponsor us and we'll talk about it.
Spread the word far and wide. Yes.
Sponsorship opportunities are available.
Which we did not mention, skibumpodcast@gmail.com.
Boom.
There you go. And that wraps up the old ski news. And speaking of skibumpodcast@gmail.com, it is time to go into our main topic. We actually were emailing back and forth with our pal, our new friend, Mr. Sam Weintraub. He is the CEO and founder of peakrankings.com. So what is Peak Rankings? Well, they have a pretty unique product that they offer. So they actually have a criteria they set up, and they do different rankings based on certain areas. They can do the whole North America. You can do it by states. We can actually let Sam talk more about it because we asked him a lot of really good questions. He had a lot of good, thorough answers. They also do ski trip planning, which is an interesting sort of domain that Sam fell into while in college. So I'm going to stop talking about it because we asked all the questions that we think you're going to have, and we'll let Sam do the talking. So here's our interview with Sam. Hope you guys enjoy it. And we have another very special guest. We met this gentleman up at the Snowbound Expo up in Boston a few weeks ago, and we had a great conversation, even though I was losing my voice and trying to scream, and it was a loud environment, and it was drinks, and we're having fun. But Mr. Sam Weintraub, he is the founder of Peak Rankings. Sam, thank you for joining us on the podcast, and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Did you enjoy the Snowbound Expo? Because this was your first one up there, right?
Yeah, it was super cool. I've never been to anything like it before. I grew up in New York, and I think the snow hype doesn't usually make it down that far, which is kind of surprising because I would think that they have a larger base of, like a ski clientele in New York, but those shows just don't make it down there. Like they have auto shows, they have a convention center, but I've never heard of like a ski or snowboard or like winter sports in general conference in New York City, which is honestly shocking. So it was pretty cool just to see all of the resort reps like kind of see some of the things that they brought down. In terms of I don't want to like give kudos to any specific resorts just to maintain my unbiasedness, but there were some resorts that did, I think, pull out a couple more stops than others. One resort in particular did give out free Red Bull, which after
Nice.
walking around for however many hours we were there was a pretty solid like benefit. There were, I think Icon might have had an open bar. I don't fully remember. I left before it happened.
They did have a truly tasting, which was kind
Yeah.
of funny.
Oh, yes. Okay. You could technically have
Get a million
an
samples.
open bar if you, yeah, exactly. If you just like took shot after shot of Truly. That was not me, but I'm certain that if you guys know about it, you probably witnessed certain people taking advantage of it. Maybe you took advantage of it yourself.
Definitely imbibe, but you know, like we're grown ups. Like we're not getting hammered on Truly at a ski convention, at a ski expo.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Well, the ladies working it were like, we're on camera, like we can't like give you a whole can because one of the guys was trying to ask
we were joking with the ladies working there, like, yeah, you take a little medicine there. Like, oh no, we couldn't do that. They have cameras. They would fire us.
Like they're watching us right now.
Whoa, yeah. I can't say anything.
A little high strung.
No eye contact. Can't say anything else. Just pour.
Yeah. Okay. So sounds like, yeah. I don't know. That whole thing was just very interesting to me. The fact that there were, manufacturers and like ski reps that came from even like Western Canada was really like stunning to me. Like Boston seemed like, to maybe put it into the perspective of like an auto show, like Boston kind of came off as like the Detroit of the auto industry to the ski industry. And I would have been I wouldn't have been shocked to see something like that in like Denver or Salt Lake City, but seeing something like that happen in Boston was a little more of a shock to me than maybe I would have expected. And maybe it's on me because I've been covering the ski industry for 4 years now. And the fact that I didn't really realize this was a major event was probably a bit of a slight on my part. But maybe it also says something about the fact that when people are planning ski trips, they don't really base their decisions off of like these expos. Like the expos are nice to have and they're maybe fun, but someone's not going to go on a ski trip to like Stratton because they met like the representative at the expo there.
Because they got a mini carabiner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a magnet, so I'm going to go.
It'd be nice to show off to your friends when you go to Killington instead.
Yeah. No, it's funny though. It's an interesting point you make. And, the first time we went up there was in 2018. And that because we were, we're friends with Matt Pepin, who's from the Boston Globe. And he's like, oh, you guys got to come. It's great. And we got up there for the first time. And just like you, we were kind of blown away too by the size, the magnitude. And after going there for a couple years now, you definitely see certain trends. There's almost like different categories of people. There's like the industry people, and then there's the people who are just trying to get as much free stuff, no matter what it is, as possible.
Yeah.
Like you never see the guy with like 6 hats on and just bags full of stickers.
With crap in there. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Stuff.
As long as it's not nailed down, it's free. Like they're happy to grab it. There's a different vibe.
It's weird. Yeah, those shows are just weird, right? Like they change not just over the years, but we were talking to I'm not going to name who it was, but they were saying how like there's like some of the Denver shows that they're changing who they let in there, and it's just it's changed the dynamic of everything. Like it's no longer like a brand only show. They're opening it to the public, but they're just opening it to the public as an expo, not like what Snowbound is doing where it's interactive. So it's kind of weird. And you should rate the expos.
It's changed a bunch too from last year when it was the first Snowbound to pre-COVID when it was the Boston Ski and Snowboard show. That show, there was, what they had there, they had a giant retail section. So a lot of people would just, buy their tickets, get their tickets free, and then go to this retail section. And it was, they had security at the start and the fronts, when you enter, when you exit, so you're not stealing stuff, but you could buy everything, jackets, poles.
There's a lot of discounted stuff.
But it was one big company. I forget if it was High Country or one of the big New England it's not wholesale, it was a retail store. So they pretty much had the whole lock on the retail for the whole show. I mean, the little booths could sell their stuff, but that was like what a lot of folks went to, was just the retail. And they added that back this year with that High Country, the name of the group. I don't know if you looked at their setup, or Summit Sports maybe, where you could buy those packages. So it's like, oh, here's the low package. It's $400. You can pick boots. These are the boots for this level.
Oh yeah, that was the whole
skis.
gear setup. I remember that. Yeah,
it was weird. It was a little bit strange the way that whole thing was set up. You really needed to look at the instructions and be like, oh, well, okay, this is how it works. But I guess if that's what you're going for specifically, like I want to get a good price setup for the season, you go through the motions and you make it happen. But yeah, it's definitely changing every year a little bit. I got to be honest, I liked last year's show better, even though the venue wasn't as good. Maybe because we had a bigger part in the show and we actually hosted a stage and we got to talk to all like Chris Davenport and Bodie Miller and
We're
stuff.
actually working. Yeah.
Maybe that's why we liked it more. But this year was, and also we were there the whole weekend. This year we kind of had to duck out a little bit early. But
and this year I think it was good. I don't think being there all those days for just hanging out would have. I think what we do was
it doesn't sound like a very unbiased comparison. Sounds like you had a lot more to work with last year.
Yeah, I think we were definitely had higher billing last year. It's almost like if you go to like a music festival and you're like the opening band on Thursday, or you're playing like Saturday in the early evening. Like it's we're opening for Korn. Like this is big. Versus like you're Hootie and the Blowfish this year. I don't know. That's a terrible metaphor.
I don't know where you're going with that.
I don't know where I'm going. I listened to Korn before for some reason. I don't know what was going on. Like my brain is just, I'm having a midlife crisis or something. I was just listening to Korn for like 20 minutes going like, why am I listening to Korn? I don't even know. I don't know. I just don't know. But, I'm just running with it, baby. Just rolling with it, just taking the energy, just taking it in and trying to put good energy out, doing what I can. Speaking of good energy and doing what you can, Sam, tell us about Peak Rankings and when did you decide to start this company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you a little bit of backgrounds just on me and kind of my experience skiing in general. So I've been skiing like casually my whole life. I never growing up, I never really like raced or did anything like crazy, like went to like a ski boarding school, any of that stuff. But my family was, well off enough that we would still go on vacations like at least once a year. And I think just providing that first step was like basically the stepping ground to be able to launch to what I got to today. So like I think that's something that a lot of people actually, in the Northeast get to do, but it's not something that everyone in the world has access to. So I would just say like fundamentally that's step number one. Step number two was in college. I joined I actually joined two ski organizations. So I joined the ski club and I joined the ski team. So
what school did you go to?
I went to Cornell and it was really cold there. So like actually
Ithaca is gorgeous.
The only thing to do there during the winter that was outside was ski. Or just like freeze yourself to death. But, the only thing that was enjoyable to do that was outside was like go and ski. So I spent like 3 days
drinking outside, right?
Hey, well, you can do that at the ski resort. Have you ever heard of Opry Ski before?
There you go.
Yeah. So like Greek Peak was where I spent my winters for 4 years.
Nice.
I ended up, the ski club didn't go often enough. So I ended up joining the ski team, which was basically just like an excuse to go to Greek Peak and get free like GS and slalom lessons. Like I never actually did good in the races. Like I only made JV, but it was like a walk-on team. They gave me the instruction and then it was just an opportunity to like meet more people. So it was a really great opportunity. And I think just being involved with that and eventually becoming the co-president of the ski club, those were things that really, I think, got me more interested in skiing as like more of a passion thing, rather than just having it be like a casual hobby like back when I was in middle school and high school. I would also say that the other really nice thing about being in the ski club, and especially when I became co-president, was we basically specialized in running really large group trips. So I got a ton of like experience going on trips to mostly Northeast resorts, but occasionally I think we did one trip to Colorado that I went on. I think we might have done I think we did 4 to Tremblant, like one every year.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So I got experience like going to all these different mountains. I had like a group to go with, which number one was just fun because we got to experience like the resorts as like a group. And like, I think I would have never realized how important opera was a part of like a ski trip unless I'd gone on like all those college ski trips.
Oh yeah, giggity.
But yeah, like I think after college, I started taking it a little bit more easy, and like settled into a corporate job. But I had a little bit of savings, so I still went on, like one trip a year for the first 2 years out of college. And then about 2 years into my corporate role, I kind of realized I was on a path to be working in credit cards for the rest of my life.
Every young boy's dream, right?
Right.
as many credit
no, screw that. Please, no.
Like, and there are a stunning number of credit card influencers, and it's actually crazy how much money you can save on your ski trip if you know how to game credit cards. But like, I've specifically held off on like publishing that type of content because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Bow-tie bum.
But there's like,
I know all about it.
Okay, so I mean, I don't need to tell you guys. I'll save that advice for another time.
People make full-time jobs out of this.
I know.
Credit card hacking.
But there were like a couple of things while I was working in credit cards that I realized. Number one, you can rank anything and have people attracted to it. Like people are just naturally attracted to rankings and comparisons. And number two, nobody was doing that in the ski industry. Like, I think the idea for peak rankings was more figure out something to rank first because people will naturally come to this content. Like people are going to look at things that are ranked no matter what. And then the second thing was, okay, I want to start a company. I don't want to work in credit cards for the rest of my life. What do I know something about that is not saturated? And that was where the idea for peak rankings came from. And as soon as I came up with the idea, I enlisted my friend who was a software engineer, and we started building the V1 of the website. But before we even were able to do that, we had to come up with a name. And we honestly were just trying to go for the most generic, like straightforward name that had to do with like ski ratings or like ski comparison or rankings as possible. So we went through and we looked at all the available domain names. So we went through like ski.com would have been great to take, but that obviously is already owned. Then we looked at like ski ratings, ski rankings, peak ratings, peak rankings, and peak rankings was available for $400. And
look at that.
We were like, okay, this is basically the best domain name we're ever going to get. And $400 is pretty steep, but it's going to pay off as an investment. And it actually sounds pretty catchy. And so like, not only did it give us like a pretty catchy brand name, but we didn't even have to think about it because we were kind of like forced into it anyway. So we didn't like brainstorm. We didn't like go into like consulting mode and like try to brainstorm like the catchiest name. We literally
You didn't
just
try to have a vision quest and come up with a name?
What's that?
You didn't try to do like a vision quest where you got hammered or high and just, try to
Bunch
find
of
a name?
mushrooms and
That's right.
went to the desert.
Ayahuasca water, it came to me in a vision.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one.
There you go.
That's what you're doing when you're searching for the names. Let's try everything.
Well, so yeah, and then the way we found a logo was an even funnier story. So we didn't have any idea how to design a logo. So we just found this auction site where you can basically say, oh, here's what we want to do. Design this logo, and if you have the best logo, we will pay you $200. So we told everyone who was in the auction that the name of the company was Peak Rankings. We use this company called Design Hill, and what that allows you to do is, you can have like all of these contractors bid for, like a logo. So for example, if for Ski Bum Podcast, you wanted them to design your logo for you, you would be like, hey, we're Ski Bum Podcast. We do podcasts and we talk about cool stuff and we're casual. We don't do any like corporate shilling. And then you'd have like 200 or 300 people who would come in and they would like submit their, like ideas for a logo for you. And then you would select the best one. And so there were a couple of pretty good options, but the one we ended up going with, there was one person who really got the color scheme right. And then like he just had a couple things that we wanted to make some very minor adjustments for. So we like asked him to make those adjustments, and then he made them, and then we were good to go, and we had the logo.
Nice.
Very nice. So you're definitely using a lot of outsourcing to get it
to start. That was the last outsourcing I think we ever did at that point.
So what about like what timeline is this when you guys are getting the website, getting the logo?
That is an excellent question, because the timeline that we ended up doing this was September 2019. So we didn't even know what we were about to walk into. We had no idea what was about to happen. So we were just like building the website. I was like pounding out these reviews. My buddy was like coding the website. It was literally just probably the most intense, because I still had a full-time job at that point. So it was like probably the most intense, like work hours I've ever had in my life. I don't think I spent like more than maybe like 5 to 10 hours a month of doing things that weren't related to Peak Rankings. Because like the whole thing, we need to get the website up. Like we need to build the website. We need to get it up. The big mistake we made was building the website from scratch. Like neither of us knew anything. Like neither of us had, well, actually my friend had started a company before, but it was like a consulting thing. So it wasn't a product, but neither of us had ever built a product before. Part of the reason we like started it wasn't necessarily to have Peak Rankings become a successful company. It was to learn how to start a company. And we're like, okay, if we're going to do this, we may as well do it with something that is cool. And so we were just like doing stuff from scratch. We had no idea what we were doing. I just knew I wasn't even like a good writer. Like I just was like, okay, we need to get this stuff out. No one else, I can't afford a writer, so let me just write it all myself. Like I majored in engineering. I took like 2 writing classes in all of college. So this was like the first time I'd like dusted off Microsoft Word in maybe like 5 or 6 years. It was straight up like just trying to do the things that needed to be done without actually like having I don't think anyone would have hired me to do any of the things that I did when I was like building this website. But yeah, Killington was actually the first review I ever wrote, because I'd been there like 40 times. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to start with this one. What would people actually care about? And what do people not know that they care about, but actually care about? I was actually pretty inspired by Consumer Reports and how I started writing these reviews. Like, you know how when they talk about car reviews, they'll be like, hey, that seat handle is awkward, or like the controls for the radio are annoying. Like, those are things that, like, if you're reading like a car magazine, you don't care about, but when you're in your everyday life and you're spending money on something, it actually like impacts your experience quite a bit. And no one was talking about these things. Like at Killington, it's such a pain to get around, and that like will actually have a significant negative impact on your day. There's also like the fact that if the Peak Lodge, for example, like if that's not big enough and you can't find a seat, that's going to be an annoyance too. You're spending so much money on these places, you should be able to like have like carefree, as close to a carefree experience as possible. And so like literally no one was talking about these things in the ski world. And it was, I think, well, not that surprising because it wasn't very saturated, but it was disappointing that none of this stuff existed. And as I was kind of thinking this stuff through, I realized like there had been some mountains I'd spent, like I'm ashamed to admit it, I spent like $200 per day at one specific mountain in Colorado, and waited in lift lines for like 40 minutes the entire time I was like every day I was there. That is not fun. That's annoying. Like even if you're skiing in powder, I would prefer to ski on like decent terrain and not wait in lift lines than to like ski a couple of powder laps, have it like get tracked out and be waiting in line for 80% of my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And yeah, you know what? The only rankings I think of is, like the Ski Magazine best resorts. And those, I mean, it's almost laughable.
Somebody's behind the scenes saying, "Hey man, hook us up," right?
Well, a lot of times it's the people who do pay for all the advertising are the ones that, oh my God, amazingly show up in the top 5 or 10. So, to your point, like where is the honesty in the rankings? If you know who's going to show up early, and the top rankings every single year, and it's not, it's from what perspective? And I think that's kind of what makes a ranking valuable, is if you're able to understand the system, like what makes something better than another. To your point, Consumer Reports, it's not the guy who's trying to Fast and the Furious thing this like quarter mile at a time. It's the person who has a car they're living with every single day, and it's like, yeah, this the spot where the window controls is stupid, or the steering wheel like doesn't feel right. Those are the things that if you're living with it every day, those are things that do matter.
Those awkward reaches will catch up to you.
100%, yes. So
with your ranking, crazy reach around in the car.
This is what I'm talking about. So regarding your ranking system, so how did you create this ranking system?
Yeah.
And I know you have your annual 23-24 rankings out there. How do you go about ranking each resort?
That is an excellent question. So I'm just going to go back a little bit to what I told you earlier. So like, I think there's certain things that are very obvious, like the snow, terrain, mountain aesthetic, like challenge. Like those are things everyone cares about. And, like we had to figure out a way to get them into our rankings. With the other stuff, like the more logistical stuff, like crowds, ease of navigation on mountain facilities, those were things that we just decided like we were going to weight them pretty heavily because those actually have a pretty significant impact on how well your day goes. Like even if like on the surface it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, they have a massive impact on like whether or not you have a good day. The other thing that maybe is a little bit more obvious to people who've spent time at these resorts, but also doesn't get that much. I actually would say Wall Street Journal is a huge offender in this respect, but reliability or resiliency, like resorts that, might be 4,000 acres large, but they don't have their terrain. Like they might have the summit open half the time, or summit closed, excuse me, half the time. Like if you're not getting what's advertised, it's like very much not going to be the experience that you signed up for. And even if like a resort is half closed, they're probably charging the same price as if it's, unless it's the early or late season, which people usually predict something will be closed or not. Like if half the mountain is closed during January or February, they're not gonna like give you a discount on lift tickets unless it's like really egregious. But that is all to say, I think we kind of had to figure out how to take the rankings from just not existing to being something that not only accurately depicted these mountains, but did so in a way that was easily digestible to the average person. So like at first, we had like this pretty complex ranking system where we were just going to go like really in depth and like have all these complex metrics. But then we realized like, okay, this is going to have like a bunch of, you know, like different weights for all these categories. It's going to have like decimal points. It's not going to be easy to understand. So why don't we just like break this stuff into 10 different categories? And then if like something's really important, then we'll like break it into 2 subcategories. So for example, like with terrain diversity and challenge, we broke those 2 into 2 separate categories. Honestly, you could say like size, terrain diversity, challenge, like all 3 of those kind of encompass very similar things. The snow and resiliency, those things also, like you could group that as just a general snow thing. But we wanted to like groups general snow and general terrain higher than like facilities. So we just broke them out into like different categories so we could weight each of them out of 10 and just have something that was really easily digestible by anyone who was looking at our content.
So
it's based on the
categories.
ranking and the weighting.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 10 categories.
10 categories. Yes. And they're all weighted out of 10 for an overall score out of 100. So hopefully very simple. We use the same colors. We use the same color scale for all of the rankings. So basically, if you see something that's more blue, you'll know that you'll instinctively kind of infer that it's better. If something's more red, then it's worse. So we basically just not only like have the scores, but we try to like visually explain them to you too, just to make it as easy as possible.
That's cool.
And I'm looking at your methodology here. So you got category 1, snow, 2, resiliency, 3, size, 4, terrain diversity, 5, challenge, 6, lifts, 7, crowd flow, 8, facilities, 9, navigation, and 10, mountain aesthetic.
You got it.
I love that. I like it. Nice and easy, nice and round. 10.
Where does opera fit in there? Is that mountain aesthetic?
Yeah. So for opera and lodging and getting there and parking, those are things that we were trying to figure out how to incorporate. And we ultimately ended up having them not as part of the overall score, but as like a different rating entirely. And like part of the reason for that is because those are things that people aren't necessarily experiencing on their day on the mountain. And there's so much variety in them that it's like hard to actually weight them as part of the overall on mountain experience. So like this is obviously subjective. And if someone else were to include like opera in their overall ranking of a ski resort, I wouldn't blame them. But like we had to
go into opera alone. There's a lot to rank there. Food, music,
I know.
Vibe, like right.
We had to like cut the line somewhere. And so we ultimately just decided like, okay, it might be better if, you know, like people could see like, oh, this resort gets a 78 out of 100, but it has limited opera versus this resort has 72 out of 100, but it has extensive opera. If opera is important to you, like you can filter for resorts that have extensive opera and just look at the rankings that way. That was at least the idea. I will say one of the big opportunities for the website is we still need to like build out our rankings so that people could manually filter things. That is like the big opportunity. The way we built the website makes it really, really difficult and monotonous to do that. So we're working on a solution. We are hoping we can have something out sooner rather than later. But that is like the number one piece of feedback we actually get. And I totally sympathize with everyone who has like requested this. as soon as we can figure out a way to like actually allow people to filter for like recommended ability level, for on-site lodging, for après ski, for like ease of getting there, like terms of hours from the nearest airport, those are all things that, would be really, really helpful for anyone planning a ski trip. We're just like somewhat limited in terms of the amount of content that we're able to produce on the website, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think too, some of it is subjective as well. Like you talk about, what après, just as an example, like what are you into? Like it's really the things you're talking about in terms of like snow, difficulty, terrain, that stuff is a little more objective. You kind of like, listen, we've got 200 trails, we get 500 inches of snow on average every year. Like that's pretty, again, objective, and you can create a base level there. Après, it's like, well, I like things fun but not too loud, and I like to go to wine bars and not breweries. Like it's like just stop.
And I like country music but not folk music. I like dance music but not techno music. It's like, okay, you're splitting hairs now.
And I think too, like Snowbird's not going to show up on your list of top places for après, but I will tell you, you get a wonderful steak, you get a couple of beers. I mean, you had an epic day of skiing. That's good enough.
And you're in bed by 9.
You're in bed by 9.
By 9. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love that. That to me is a perfect après if I'm at Snowbird. So that was the first half of the interview. We got another half available that we're going to have on next week. So make sure you follow along, subscribe, rate. If you want to send us an email, skibumpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. We do appreciate it. Thank you to Sam for joining us. Check us out, skibumpodcast.com. Go to the socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I meant X. Facebook, Instagram, Untapped, YouTube, @skibum podcast.
You gotta do like this whenever you do X. You gotta do like.
That's right. Degeneration X. You want to help us out? Patreon.com/skibum podcast. Join one of the levels. Become part of the show. We would love that.
Check out the newsletter. The newsletter has nice links to Patreon that we worked on. They're pretty cool. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, if you go to the website, just go to skibumpodcast.com. You can join the newsletter there. Got the shop, skibumpodcast.com/shop. You can order some swag. Thank you so much for listening. We had fun. Mario, Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
We'll talk to you before the new year, as promised. But
cheers.
Have a wonderful holiday. Hope you're enjoying your ski season. We will talk to you guys next week.
Stay high, stay fluting.
See ya.